y'all who don't know me, my name is Richard Hutton, owner of CrossFit Fiend here. And this is a little podcast called Peace Under Pressure, where we just like to talk and give some insight on how I've come to deal with all the stress of owning a business and trying to work out and now being a family member and all that. And today I wanted to come on and simply talk to you about a simple mind shift that might just completely change your world for the better. So that mind shift is getting to other than having to. So where this comes from, one time I had a member come up and I was personal training him at the time, and he loved pasta. So he wanted to eat pasta. So he said that when he eats pasta, to justify it, he has to go run on a treadmill for an hour. And I stopped him right there, and I told him I never want him to think he has to work out, or you don't have to work out. We get to. So let's talk about that and just shifting that mindset from having to get to. Let's talk about like cleaning. I mean, we all deserve to live in clean spaces and work in clean spaces. So let's talk about two stories, because how we perceive things, or our thoughts per se, we all think are ours. When your thoughts are not yours, they are your past and what's happened, and maybe how your parents act or situations you've seen, and these thoughts come from that, and that's how they are in our brains, because we've taken in this information and now this is just kind of how life is, but it doesn't have to be. So two stories about dinner as a child. This first child, his mom cooks dinner and she's rushing through and she's not cleaning up, and she makes this great spaghetti dish. So there's pans, and she cooks dinner and she calls everybody in and they eat. And then whenever the first person's done, they go to the sink, and there's the noodle pan, the sauce pan, all the utensils she used, the cutting board, what she made the noodles on, and all that in the sink. So they're dirty in there. There's no real room to rinse, so the plate just gets added on top. And then the next person, and those plates are just in the sink. They're dirty. Everybody's tired, because we know when we eat pasta that a nap, for me especially, follows right after. So the next night, everyone got up, went to work, the kids went to school, they get home, and it's time to cook, and now the kitchen's still dirty. So maybe mom cleans up the sink and puts all that in, and she's exhausted, she doesn't want to cook, so now they eat fast food, and they all feel like crap again, and now we've started a cycle of this mess, and cleaning up that mess. Mom was probably irritated, like, oh, why do I have to cook and clean? So there's this stigma around cleaning now, that it's not fun or it's not worth it. So, maybe if we hate cleaning, maybe we can look back at our childhood and see that that's how that went. Maybe not. Maybe we just hate cleaning. But let's talk about another story. So now we're going to talk about mom who cooks every night, who cleans as she goes. So she makes the noodles. When she rinses out, she washes the pan, she cleans the coriander, I believe is what it's called, the thing that we strain the water. She cleans the saucepan. She calls in everybody for dinner. They sit around the table. Everybody's in good spirits. They're talking. First person gets up to go wash the dish. The sink's empty, so quick turn on the hot water, rinse it, goes in the dishwasher. Next person follows suit. Mom, of course, is the last one done, because she serves everybody and then starts eating last. So she finishes, she cleans her plate, she puts it in the dishwasher, throws the pot in there, hits start, dishes are done. That next night when mom goes to cook, there's no ill will, no laziness, everything's ready to go, the kitchen's ready, everybody's happy, everybody had a great day at work, she cooks another meal, she cleans as she goes, and now we've started this cycle. And cleaning isn't portrayed as bad or tedious because now we're just cleaning for like a few minutes and the dishes are done and we're eating healthy food and we're setting this example. We're having dinner every night. We're talking as a family. And I bet these kids are going to grow up thinking that's just how life is. So, the first story, those kids, they don't have to live like that, but we got to become aware that those thoughts are in us, and maybe that's why maybe that's why we're just sitting them in there, because that's just how it was for us. Now, when we become aware, we can start to shift and say, I deserve to have a kitchen ready to cook next time I'm ready to go. So, we don't have to do the dishes. They can sit in the sink, but then we don't get to have a nice, easy path to cook the next meal. Or we can shift to, I get to put my dishes in the sink, and then I also get to have a nice tomorrow, a kitchen that's ready to cook. So, those thoughts and those patterns, while they're not ours, we need to be aware to start to shift that mindset around things that we have to do, and more of we get to do them so we can get to live this life that we want to live and have more peace. Talking about like getting to study or chase dreams or anything like that can feel like a chore, especially if we don't have this passion. We have to read, or we have to work, or we have to study, or we have to go to bed, and we get to party. We get to drink beer. We get to have dessert, like my 20s. A lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of chasing girls, a lot of extracurricular activities that I was getting to do, but I was not living a life that I wanted to live. So I got to do these things, but then I had to suffer a hangover at work the next day. Or I got dessert, but I had to live an unhealthy life where, just walking all day at work was hard. Where, in my 30s, there was a little shift. I realized that I was really down the wrong path, a path I didn't want to, but it still wasn't in my mind that I got to do these things. I was working out, and that was great and all, but it was more for like looks, which nothing wrong with that. So, my 20s, I was partying. I'm not mad about it. Had a lot of fun. Loved my 20s. It was a good time. Had good friends. We hung out. We partied. It was a lot of fun, whether we remember them or not. And then the 30s, there was kind of a shift. I was still partying some, maybe not quite as much, but still partying, still getting down, and just working out for looks. But something happened in my 30s when I started working out. I started hanging around different people with different mindsets. They were more determined. They were showing up for themselves. They weren't feeling like they had to work out. They got to work out to look better, and that's awesome. And then, I met Heather around 39, and come 40, my 40th birthday, there was a big shift of I wanted to start doing this to live a better second half of my life than my first, where I was always tired from, drinking or eating bad or not moving. So now in my 40s, I'm 41 now, I've shifted to, I get to work out every day. I get to have this kitchen clean. I get to, read every morning because I set my bedtime and stuff like that. And this mind shift has really opened my life up to opportunities where now I can run this business and chase bigger dreams and stuff like that. So, that mind shift of now I get to build this life that I'm proud of every day has been huge in the last few years, and I'm not angry. Like, all my days are good. I'm finding joy in these things, like working from 5:30 a.m. until 8 p.m. on a Sunday. I get to do that because now this shift has happened in my life to where these are the things that matter. and it's not going out and partying. And when I look back, those parties was, I didn't like what I was doing. I felt like I had to work. I had to, do this stuff. And then all that was to get to watch TV. Working all day at a job you have to do to pay the bills, to buy Survivor and pizza and that. And at night, I would argue, you say, I get to watch TV, but is that really what you're wanting out of this life? If you have a dream, then you need to get to work on that dream. And a lot of us will work all day, and when we get home, it's like, oh, I get to relax. And while that's great, and we all need to relax from time to time, I would ask this, it's like those actors or those people playing the sports or the people on Netflix, their dream is to be an actor, and you're supporting their dream. So you get home at 5:30, you do a couple chores that you have to do, you sit down, you have dinner with the family, you talk, and then it's like, let's say it's 7:30, and you just start watching TV until bed. Well, now we're supporting their dreams. You're supporting other people's dreams, and then you have to wake up and go to work, where if you have dreams and you want to work and enjoy work, I would say at 7:30, once the kids go to bed and you have some time, we can get to not watch TV, but work on our dreams. We can read a book that supports what we want to do to make income and chase our passion all at the same time. But, we get to relax as opposed to we have to study, because we've put in our mind this negative mindset. For me, my family growing up, that was what we did. Dad hated work. He came home grumpy, and then all he wanted to do was sit and watch TV. And now Dad owns a company because he went to work, and then he got to work on building his business. So I would say, it doesn't have to be every night, but some nights don't support other people's dreams, support yours by getting after it. Get to work and build those dreams. On the weekend, take an hour, block some time off on these days instead of helping support other people's dreams, and support yourself. So how do we shift this mindset? For me, it's the best way for me to explain it to you is awareness. And it's start to be aware of whenever you say, oh, I have to work out. Like, let's look at that. Like, why do you feel like you have to? Maybe instead of saying I have to work out, we could say, if I go work out, I'm gonna get those six-pack abs over time. If I get to work out, then I'm gonna have more energy tomorrow. So these things, if I say you're saying I have to do these dishes, maybe we look at it as I get to live in a clean kitchen that's ready to go next time I need to cook. And we have this stigmas that we don't realize these thoughts aren't ours. They can be changed. We can shift that mindset to get to do things that set us up for later. But even that, so say you're thinking, oh, I get to have dessert. But are you gonna have to suffer that feeling of, for me, whenever I eat a bunch of M&Ms, then I wake up with heartburn. So yeah, I got to have dessert, I got to have M&Ms, but then I had to deal with heartburn. So then I have bad sleep, and then I'm not functioning very well the next night. And usually we can find little moments in here, being aware and just pausing a little bit, that can really show us that these things that we have to do are really setting us up to get the life we want. Whereas opposed to these things that we get to do are taking away our joy of living a purposeful life and really being better for that. So what I would say to you is to really just stop and slow down whenever we have these feelings of, oh, I have to do this, or I get to do that, and see what it truly means. and just being aware and really looking at what we want in the future and how we want to support our dreams as opposed to supporting other people's dreams is going to be the start that we all need. So this week, I want to challenge you that every time you catch yourself saying, I have to, I want you to step back and look at what that have to is going to bring you if you switch that to get to for 3 months. Where are we going to be from there? If you're building the life you want, you need to start shifting to I get to, because now this life we want, we think we want these results, but what we're really wanting is this I get to attitude. Because whenever you change, I have to clean the dishes to I get to do the dishes so I can have a clean kitchen tomorrow, now you're not only gonna get to do it, you're gonna enjoy it more. And these are the moments that we're spending the time. This is our life. These things, these small tasks take up a lot of our day. If we can switch from I have to go to work and find purpose in that work, and we get to go to work, and you're spending 8 hours a day right there, that's a big shift into living the life you want, where, you know, maybe you can't find purpose in work. So yeah, we have to go to work, but then when we get home, we get to work on our dreams as opposed to getting to watch TV or getting to have dessert or getting to stay up late. Let's get to work on us and building that life that we want. And, you know, instead of thinking of the results, we'll be happy then, be happy about it right now. Be happy that you get to chase a passion, that you get to live a life full of purpose. So speak it out loud. Put it in the universe. I get to do the dishes. I get to work out. I get to show up for myself. All these things. Whenever we start this mind shift and we start stacking these days and these get-tos, we're going to live a life that we're proud of. And when we're proud, we're probably going to be having a lot more fun. So, like I said, this week, that's my challenge for you. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start that right now. As always, stay rad.